Hello, friends. This is Pastor Dan. Have the pastor's video for what to be looking for this week at NT90 at Christ Church. I do hope and pray that whether you're doing this experience as an individual and independent reading using these resources, or if you're in a small group, that the Lord is blessing you, and that as you're reading through these large portions of the New Testament, that God is speaking to you and lifting out of the text those special messages that are straight to you about what's true about Him and what's true about us as His people, and what God is speaking to us today. So, in this week's readings, we go from many books all in one week to just two. We have the Gospel of Mark, Part 2, and we have most of the book of Hebrews. In my mind, this is a beautiful pairing. As I mentioned last week, the Gospel of Mark, more than any of the other Gospels, has a higher portion of the verses attributed to Jesus' last week with us on earth, what we call the Passion Week. Seemingly more than the other Gospels, you have Jesus predicting his death. And it gets more specific as time goes on. And then there's this foreboding narration of the chief priests and the teachers of the law, or the scribes, who the narrator tells us planned to kill Jesus. They're afraid of him, they're threatened by him. And there's this dramatic build-up, and there's also a shift and a pivot from Jesus saying, don't tell anybody, after the healings, trying to keep things secret, leading up into this last week of Jesus's life, and in particular getting more specific about Jesus' identity and what his role would be as Son of God and Son of Man. The disciples had their own notion of what the Messiah was to be. They wanted freedom from the oppression they were experiencing in Israel from the occupying soldiers and nation of Rome. And so they longed for a king like David who could deliver them and organize and fight and start a revolution. And so something to be looking for this week in the book of Mark is how Jesus subtly and not explicitly avoids affirming those suspicions of the disciples and the people about who the Messiah was to be. Particularly when it comes to him saying, the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. That theme of ransom, of him choosing to lay down his life, that being a payment. The word ransom also appears in the book of Hebrews this week, and that entire theme of Jesus' sacrifice is strong in Mark. It is strong in Hebrews. Hebrews, throughout the book, identifies Jesus as God's high priest of a special order, no ordinary high priest, but of the order of Melchizedek, who is a mysterious figure from Genesis, also called King of Salem, and was with Abraham. And Abraham, it's the first time that somebody tithes in Scripture. Abraham gives 10% of what he had to this mysterious figure. And in the book of Hebrews, the author, who we're not totally sure who it is, sets apart Jesus and how his special mission, his identity, his role, both as the one who is a mediator, who is in between the people and God, and bridges that gap through the sacrifices he makes. And what sets him apart again is, as well, is being the Son of God. Hebrews identifies him as Son, as high priest, but then also the sacrifice as well. Rather than a priest who continues to give the blood of bulls as a sacrifice for the sins of himself as well as the people, Jesus gives one sacrifice once and for all. And it is himself, it is the cross, it is his blood that gives the final atonement for the sins of God's people. So these are some of the things to be looking for. I've listed out here briefly before you. Um, I love some of the passages here in Hebrews that talks about Scripture being as sharp as a two-edged sword. It is how we know of God. It's our source of doctrine and practice and theology. And so I do love that Hebrew passage that lifts that up. So let me just have a short video for now. If you're wondering where I'm filming from, this is one of my favorite offices, which is a coffee shop near where I live in Pearland. And as circumstances would have it, this is where our video has to take place today. So friends, may God bless you in your readings this week. If you'd like to have questions answered, email them to NT90 at christchurchsl.org. And look for us on the church website, christchurchsl.org/NT90, and click on the videos and other resources, which you'll find this video, as well as the Stump the Preacher links as well. Well, this is what I have for this week, friends. Be blessed. We're in the home stretch. The remaining portions of the New Testament will take us yet into to other areas of prophetic literature, apocalyptic literature, lastly with John and Revelation. Another wonderful pairing as we have this week with the Gospel of Mark and the book of Hebrews. So there is more and more things to learn, so don't give up. Keep reading, keep praying. This is the ordinary means of grace of how God would have us learn of who He is. And God will reward us in that way and speak to us as we give our time to the study and reflection and discussion and praying through God's holy word. May God bless you all. Bye-bye.